Okay guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Durbin Compound. If you haven't met me already, this is your first time on the channel. My name is Devin Durbin. Today we're here at Buckeye Sun Control. This is my buddy Josh.
Hey guys.
So he runs this Buckeye Sun Control. You can find him on buckeyesuncontrol.com.
Yep.
And they're located in Marysville, Ohio, so not a far drive from me. I came down here to get my windows tinted, and so today I really wanted to go over what I think would be a very beneficial video for people is what to expect when you go in a window tint shop. And like when I walked through the door, like when I first came into your shop, I'm like, well, what is he gonna ask me? Like I had multiple vehicles tinted before, but it was always like, the guys like literally stepped you through it. And I know that a lot of people would like to be a little bit more prepared when they walk through the door for the kind of questions that you ask. So we're gonna act like I'm just stepping through the door. We'll talk about what you would, what do you originally ask? Say, hey Josh, how's it going? I wanna get my windows tinted today. What do you think?
Okay, so first I would ask what kind of vehicle they have.
Okay.
Different vehicles can look very different, honestly, with the same shade of tint, like we just talked about on your Land Rover here. 15% on your Land Rover is going to look a lot lighter than 15% on your Mercedes.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you've probably noticed just from looking at it. And then secondly, I would say that they need to understand the percentages of film, because a lot of people just, they know the number, their buddy told them to get 15 or 35, but that actually refers to the amount of light that the tint lets through.
Okay.
So 15% is letting through 15% of the light, and like 5%, for instance, is only letting through 5% of the light. So that's one big thing, because a lot of times people walk in and their buddies are like, go get 5%, and I don't think they really understand how dark those windows are.
I heard it in a rap video one time, 5% tint, so you can't see in my windows.
Yep. And typically I try to talk people out of 5%. It is just really dark. Other than that,
So I'm like, okay, I come in, I have no idea what I'm like. Yeah, my buddies say 5%, but I have no idea what I really want. How do you help me decide on what is actually would be the best fit for me? Because I know a lot of people are like, well, I want to be able to see when I back up at night, but I don't want people to see me in my car. There's no really happy medium there.
There's not a great happy medium.
So how do you go about having someone decide?
So that's the first thing I'll ask. I'll ask if they're wanting to more stay towards the legal side and just block some heat, or if they're trying to get privacy film, to block people from seeing in. So that's where I start. And then I'll explain to them what's legal on your front doors, and there actually aren't any rules on your back doors. Typically people don't go with the legal film on your front doors because it is extremely light. So we just kind of go through our different examples of tint, and I let them know what's legal and kind of just gauge what they're going to want and give my opinion from there. Typically 35 or 15%.
Okay. All right, cool. So as always with every window tint shop, they usually have the tint films on the front door like you've got, and you say, hey, this is 5, 15, 35, 50, and do you ever use that example? Do you ever go up to the window and say, hey, this is it? Because it seems like that 5% out there doesn't look dark at all.
It doesn't, yeah. And that's kind of goes back to the first thing we were talking about, just how different the same tints can look on different glass. And like that's a flat piece of glass out there. So we do use that as close as we can. And then a lot of times, I'll have a vehicle sitting around that I've already tinted, or I'll use my car to kind of give a better example of how it's going to look on the vehicle. Okay,
cool. So yeah, big. So what I took away from our short conversation was, you based on your experience and your professional experience over the years, what it looks like on a certain car.
Right.
And you're like, hey bro, you have a Nissan Xterra, and this is going to be either too dark or too light for what you're really trying to get.
For whatever they're trying to get, exactly.
So you're going over the customer's needs and kind of what's motivating them to come in, and then you're basing it on your experience and kind of recommending
There's a lot of recommendation into it, because a lot of people just don't. A lot of people don't know about the window tint and how it's going to look on the vehicle. So there's definitely a lot of me just kind of feeling out what they're trying to accomplish, and then kind of giving my opinion.
So how do I know that I am coming in to get a lot of people think window tint's all the same. So they all think, well, like we talked about earlier, guy comes in, he says, I want that purple tint.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, yeah, let's do that purple tint, yo. And so what do you go for then?
So the two main differences between tint is you're gonna have like the guys that will say they'll tint your car and they'll do it out of their garage. And what they're doing is they're going to Walmart or AutoZone and they're buying those rolls of film that you can buy.
Right.
Well, that is just dyed vinyl and it's gonna turn purple really fast. The adhesive is gonna fall off. I mean, it's gonna turn into concrete. There's all kinds of problems associated with that, but purple tint doesn't exist. Yeah,
okay.
Purple tint is just faded tint.
All right, so, and then you guys do you use just one certain type of tint that you've gone with?
So typically we use what's ATC, which is a dyed film, but it's just a much higher end dyed film. It does have a lifetime warranty through the company, through the manufacturer, and through us. But then there's also CTX, which I do carry 35 and 15 of CTX in stock. Those are my two most popular shades. And then I'll do any other shade in CTX on special order. But basically it's a ceramic film and not a dyed film. It just has a little more heat rejection, a little more scratch resistance, and people say it looks crisper. It's a very, very slight difference between that and the ATC.
Okay, and is there a huge price? I know we were talking about price. So there's a huge price difference between the ATC and the CTX.
There is, yeah. The CTX is about 100% markup. And that's basically any tint shop, you're gonna pay about double of what you pay for ATC for the CTX. And
those are kind of the nerdy obsessed guys. They're like, I want CTX. And they come in knowing they want CTX and they're trying to find somebody that does it.
Exactly. And I personally hardly push CTX because, yeah, I really just think it's
a gimmick.
It's a gimmick, yeah, almost. I mean, maybe if you have like an Aston Martin or something like that,
yeah.
You know, but even then, you know, it's just,
yeah,
it's going to look basically identical. It's going to last the same amount of time.
All right, cool. And so I know we talked about baseline prices and what can I expect coming through the door, you know, based on, I know every vehicle is different depending on the windows. Like my Land Rover is going to cost me a lot more than it would be to tint a Honda Civic two-door.
Right.
Like, hey bro, I got an SI, you know, I want to put dark tint on it.
So I would say for any full vehicle, anything from a coupe up to your SUV at the lowest grade that a professional tint shop is going to have of film, you're probably looking at like 150 to 230-ish, I would say would be a good price. And then the CTX, you're starting to get like 325 to 425. None of those prices are counting anything on your windshield. That's always typically extra anywhere you go. And then there's actually Formula One tints, which is a metallic film. That's the highest grade, but then you're getting into, you know, it could be $500-600 for a sedan.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So right around the $150 to $250 mark based on how big your vehicle is.
How many windows, yeah, how curved they are.
Cool. So, you know, when you mentioned curved, let's talk about the windshield now, because one thing that I didn't realize and Josh taught me was the windshield, that the way it's curved makes your windshield strip drop on both sides.
Yeah, so a lot of people will come in and they'll tell me specifically that they want the windshield strip, the teardrops on the ends.
Right.
And that's actually a perfectly straight windshield strip right there. Actually, that teardrop is 100% to do with how curved your windshield is. It just makes it appear like it teardrops. But like on that windshield right there, even though it looks super curved, that is a perfectly straight edge off of that. So that's just not actually something window tinters do. They don't create the teardrop windshield strip. They actually do create the windshield strips that you see that follow the line of the windshield. So that's just a common question I get.
Gotcha.
That we don't really have control over.
And yeah, I was talking to Josh about that because on my F350, I might roll in a clip of the windshield on the F350 right here, but it actually teardrops way down on the end because the windshield is so big and it's a full-size truck and it's kind of
round on the ends.
It's a big
too.
bubble and it rounds on the end, so it comes down way low on the outside.
And it was shocking to you that was straight.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, what? The thing is straight? I just thought that it was a big semicircle that you guys cut out of, and then like because my windshield was so big, the semicircle, you know, and that's, you know, a common misconception that people come in. So
For sure.
I think we did a good discussion there about what to expect when you come in to get tint. These guys are going to help you through it. Don't be scared to walk through the door. I know that keeps a lot of people from doing stuff, honestly, when you're just scared of the unknown. And like a lot of people won't even come into the tint shop, won't even come in to get their tint done because they're scared of the questions that you're going to ask them. And that's just society. That's just how some people work and their personality. So if this video helps one person to be able to walk through the door, be a little bit more educated about the system and what goes into it, all the much better.
Yeah.
Now another thing that I wanted to go over, I don't know if you wanted to go over in this video, is how to know if you got bad tint or a bad product.
Yeah, we can go over that.
So we were talking earlier, and I think that one of the main points that I really wanted to get out here was knowing that you're getting a good product or a good installation. Things to look for on somebody doing your tint. If you're that kind of person that needs to vet somebody, you need to come in and see what they do and how they do it, or maybe ask some probing questions and say, hey, how would you do this rear window? You act like you don't know anything. You say, hey, how would you do this rear window? You kind of vet that person. And we had talked about a couple different options of what to look for. Say, hey, that guy shouldn't be doing that, and if he does that, he's not a very good installer, and you might not want to go with that guy. So rolling into the same video, how would you vet somebody to?
So first off, I would say find out if they have a warranty, how long the warranty is, and what it covers. Because a lot of places won't have a warranty, and that's no good, period. There can be a lot of little touchy things that your installer might not notice. There's the phone again.
No big deal. Just before the phone rang, you were talking about warranty and not having it.
Right, so that's the first thing you definitely want to check on. All of the smallest mistakes that a professional window tinter might miss are filled with water when they first tint the windows. So let's say a tiny speck of dirt or a tiny hair fiber. You're not going to notice that for the first couple days. At all, because it's going to be filled with water. It's not going to be showing that air. There's just going to be no way to see it because it's so small. And then a few days later, the water dries out and you have little white dots everywhere where there's dirt or whatever else. And then, so that's where that warranty is important, because if somebody doesn't have a warranty and you take those little things back to them, they're just going to be like, tough luck. And then you also have to pay attention to what's inside their warranty, because a lot of places will say they have a lifetime warranty, but they're only talking about the warranty from the company and referring to the film going bad or turning purple or bubbling out. They're not referring to their shitty tint job, or sorry, excuse my language,
you're
crappy tint job. So that's the first thing I'll look for. And then second thing is actually price. I get a lot of people call me, they'll ask the price, I'll tell them, and they'll be like, well, I have a buddy that can do it for 120. And I mean, I'm just telling you from knowing the cost of the materials and the amount of time it takes, and you have to pay, yourself and an employee. You are not getting a good tint job or a good quality film for less than $150, and even that's really, really cheap. That's probably your buddy you're giving that deal to. So that would be the second thing. It's just, if it's that cheap, there's a problem. They're using cheap film problem.
Right.
What else do I see a lot of? So I see a lot of two-piece back windows.
Okay.
There should basically never be a split in your back window. There are places that will say that's how it's done, but that is not how it's done. A professional place can heat shrink a window and do it in one piece. I mean, there's some extreme exceptions like a 1954 Dart and some really old race cars basically with extremely curved back windows. But really, I mean, 99.9% of cars should never have a split back window. And
Cool.
Same thing with the windshield, when people do full windshields.
Gotcha.
There
So
should never be seams.
okay. All right. Cool. So number one thing is price, just because, and that's funny because there was a guy in Columbus that I had my truck done by, and I don't even know why I went to him. I'm not even sure, but that tint is trash now. The side window, it's actually coming apart. Like I just cleaned it with regular invisible glass,
and layers
and now it's just layers coming
off.
off. So expect my F350 sometime in the near future because it's starting to come off, and that's from crappy tint.
Yeah.
So another thing that he said was the warranty, not just the warranty from the product, but the labor warranty, the labor warranty that this guy puts on his product to say, hey, I will fix whatever comes up.
Exactly.
And a lot of the times people, we were talking about this last time I was here, a lot of people freak out and they're like, oh my goodness, like it's day 2 and I have all of these all of these things wrong, or I rolled down my window, but I'm not going to tell you that I rolled down my window.
Yeah.
And now I've screwed up my film. So what do you see when it comes to that?
Well, I usually give people some headway. If they accidentally roll down their window the very next day, I'm probably not going to make them pay, to have their window fixed again. And then, what was your first part of that?
The streaks and all this crazy stuff that you're like, hey, it comes in like 2 days later and the guy's freaking out because.
So I always tell people, there's going to be some streakiness and water bubbles, and then they go out and they're driving around, and you get in the sun, and the sun starts hitting these water bubbles in different ways, and they can really show up. And that really scares people, but it's just totally normal to have some pretty noticeable streaking on the outside and some extremely noticeable, what I call fish eyes, like little squishy water bubbles almost on the inside. And they will go away for sure every time. And
Okay.
if they don't, we would always fix them.
Okay, cool. So another important thing is, that those little things that maybe it was a piece of hair or it was this or that. These guys are fully stand behind their work instead of just say, hey, good luck.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. So I think we covered everything about what to expect when you come in a place. Kind of same things along the line of clear paint protection.
Yes, I mean exactly the same really. It's going to have some streakiness, it's going to have some water bubbles, less so for sure, but any of those films, the reason you see that is because if you sit there and you go over it with your plastic tools and stuff for 30 minutes to get every single little water bubble out, you're just going to scratch the piss out of it, and then you've kind of defeated your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally get it. And actually, just watching you work with tint, it's surprising how durable it really is.
Extremely, yeah.
I just think that hey, it's a clear film or a tinted film, and I think I'm going to mess it up by scrubbing it a little bit extra with a paper towel. So that was a misconception that we got out in one of the first videos. So good stuff, man. I appreciate you letting me come out.
Yeah, I had a good time.
And we'll finish up the Land Rover. And I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope it helps at least someone. Really got nothing else to say. If you like my content, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'll put all of the information on Buckeye Sun Control and Josh if you want to hit him up in Marysville, Ohio. All of his information will be in the description. I'll probably link to your Facebook in the actual description.
Awesome.
You guys can go over there and check him out, vet him as well. So if you guys want to come in, he'll hook you up for sure. So Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next video.